This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 759, 19 years and counting. Enjoy.
Here, this one's good, man. This one's real good. So I'm actually proud of JD for asking me. He asked him what update they regretted the most. So Mod Ian said the observatory quest.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then Mod Osborne said the 2016 RuneFest. Because he had just been promoted and he was really on fire and he was all excited and said a bunch of stuff that didn't all come to be, but I gave the man a pass on that because you know what? 2016 was just a bad year all around. They got Brexit, we got Trump, he got the RuneFest. I mean, it was not a good year, you know? This one's going to floor you, dude. This one shocked me. Mod Raven said the creation of the 6th stage. That's what he most regretted. Wow.
Well, it did kind of kneecap them in terms of narrative, because what happened effectively with that, I feel, is that we went from an era where, quests could be ad hoc to one where we have these storylines that you need to complete, and we are locked into this thing where, you need to have one of these quests every few months or you forget what happened with them. And there's this constant drive to just keep doing bigger and bigger things with that. And that was the whole hype up of the 6th age, combining that with the player's decision to be made. And, we talked about this, I think, on the Decade in Review. At least I alluded to it, is that should, the 6th age, should we have, gone down this path? And should the decisions to kill Gothics and whatnot have actually been made? So, I mean, if it's in the mind of us, it's obviously in the minds of Raven. So,
yeah,
I don't know what to say to that.
I mean, the one thing that he really pointed out was it caused confusion, and that's what he really didn't like about it. Was that there was just so much confusion.
Well, yeah, I mean, still today you play a 5th age quest, you get a thing popping up saying this is the 5th age quest set in the past.
So, I mean, I can totally understand that. And this one really wasn't any surprise, I guess, to me, but Mod Mark said it was the removal of free trade and the wildy. Now, not that he said they believed in what they did, but he didn't but he regretted the way in which it was done. Right. And he said EOC is exactly the same. He said he didn't regret the changes, like he thinks are right, but the way they did them is what he regrets the most. I'm like, and it really sounded like they learned a lot from the way that they did it, the way that he was explaining it. So I thought those were really pretty interesting questions.
And that explains so much. That explains why it took so long to have them get back to a point where they can produce content on their own and they don't feel the need to vet it through polls, as we saw in 14 and 15, or sorry, 13 and 14, and then 15 with players submitting content less in 2016. And with that, it wasn't, we said until the tail end of 2018 and into 2019 that we said, okay, they got their groove back. They're on the upswing and they're doing, what should have been done a long time ago, right?
Yeah, well, and honestly, listening to this live stream, and like I said, I mean, there was a little more. I just picked out what I thought were the most interesting and awesome, questions. But they did talk a lot more about why they came to those conclusions. It seems like what they're most guilty of is just not having enough foresight. The solutions they came up with were totally valid at the time. They just had no way of knowing what technology was going to be coming along later. So, for the Wildy example, they had made all these like things, all these untradeable things, never thinking about the day that they had the technology to combat bots and the gold farming and all that, and then would roll that back, and then now what do you do with all these items that were, untradeable and all this? So it's really a matter of like they just didn't. You don't know what you don't know, and they did the best thing like at the time, but they wish they had done it differently.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have to remember this live stream, because this might be one of the most consequential live streams of 2020. Because I am planning on doing the year in review podcast again next year. And with that, I hope everyone watches this one.
Yeah, this one's fun. This is I never thought about it being so consequential or anything. I mean, I actually listened to this one twice, but it was. I mean, it was a good live stream. I mean, I enjoyed it. It definitely explained a lot of why decisions were what they were, and I always enjoyed that. Like I always like to know as much as I possibly can, because it helps you to be able to like understand, like, oh, I get it. I might have made the same choice, like, and if you don't know the context, you could never really say that.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I mean, that was primarily it. Like I said, there was more questions than that, but I didn't want to retell the whole live stream because I figured people would want to listen to that on their own.
You can watch full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. You can also listen to audio versions of RSBANDB Update at update.rsbnb.com, and feel free to subscribe to our show on any number of podcast listeners out there at update.rsbnb.com/subscribe.